Hey everyone, it's Sonia here. Thank you so much for joining me for another edition of the podcast series. Once again, it's a heart to heart. This is episode 149, and we have Nicole Draper with us today. And for those that are catching this through Nicole's audience or you stumbled across it, I just want to reiterate that a heart to heart means that there is a video component. The exact same interview that we are having over the podcast that you're listening to is also available on YouTube. So you can click the link that you see in the show notes and you can see her beautiful smile and everything that she has to offer today. Nicole, please take a minute and introduce us.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for having me on. As you stated, my name is Nicole Draper, and I am actually the owner of DL Health and Wellness Consulting. I also do something called Women Who Encourage, Inspire, and Empower.
Tell us about that. Women who inspire. Say it
Yep,
again.
encourage, inspire, and empower.
Okay,
Yeah.
so tell us about that.
Yeah, so I am a firm believer that all women should encourage other women to be the best that they possibly can be, right? Like we need to empower one another, we need to inspire one another, and we need to encourage one another instead of always like beating each other up over the silliest things. Why not just encourage one another to be great?
Yeah.
Because we all can be great, but when you've got this other element fighting against you, it's very, very difficult. And throughout the years, I think you and I are very similar in age, but throughout the years, right, of growing up, and you see all these girls and they're so mean
Mhm.
to you and they're so mean to others, and you're like, why? Why is this happening? Um, and I just think it's unbelievable. I started reading a new book, and it's unbelievable the way that society has been treated over the years. This book is actually Louise Hay, and it's Empowering Women. It's incredible. It's an incredible book. Um, and I'm very, very passionate about making sure women live their best lives.
So the book from Louise Hay, let's talk about that for a second. What's
Yeah,
it? What is it called? Empowering Women?
it's called Empowering Women. Yeah. And it's about various stories of women who have empowered themselves or someone else over the years. And she actually stated an interesting fact as I was reading this morning. Um, about something from the 1950s, and it was how housewives at the time, and this kills me, all these rules that housewives had to have. And it was actually in like a good housekeeping edition at one point in the 1950s about like, make sure that you lay down and rest for 15 minutes before your husband gets home so you're in tip top shape to have conversation with him. And don't ask him about the bad from the day and don't give him your stress. And I was like, oh gosh, like that was a thing. That kills
Oh,
me.
it kills me too, but
Oh,
that talks about empowerment. And for those that have no clue the date, because I know this podcast is going to be public about 8 weeks from now. And so right now it's actually March 14th, 2023, but a week ago was International Women's Day. So
yes.
it is very fitting. And for those that aren't familiar, that is March 8th. And it's very fitting how we're talking today about empowerment. And behind the camera, we didn't have a topic. We were just going to organically see how it goes. And empowerment is huge. And it boils down to equality. And
Yeah.
and you had tapped into something about why we don't support each other versus we're competing with each other more than supporting with each other. And I've raised three girls. So they're 25, 23, and 21 now. And I remember the household conversations about mom, she won't talk to me. Mom, she's not nice to me. And, you know, high school and junior high and elementary school, wherever you fall, those are seriously
Yeah.
the hardest times of your life socially to
Yeah.
adapt. And I said to my girls at the end of the day, I'm like, at the end of the day, the only reason another girl is jealous of you or is frustrated with you, or is mad at you, or is miserable with you, or
Right.
is because of the green-eyed monster.
Yeah,
And people are like,
absolutely.
they're like, what? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, the green-eyed monster is jealousy. I said they are jealous of something.
Yeah.
And jealousy in your adult life shouldn't
Mm,
exist.
yeah.
Because when
Yeah.
you see something that somebody else has that you are attracted to, that is a message that you can have that too. And I too am listening to that in a book I'm listening to right now. What is it called? Hmm.
Mm.
Let's just see here. I wasn't prepared for this piece. Let's just see what book I'm reading right now because it's really good. Oh, The Audacity to Be Queen. The Audacity to Be Queen. It is really good. And it talks about how the same thing. So I would love to hear your concept. So when I say it talks about the same thing, it talks about exactly what we're just talking about, like the green-eyed monster, but more importantly, how when somebody has something that you want, maybe
Yeah.
friends of yours are getting married, or maybe their business is successful, these messages are being brought to your life to show you what you are capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me your thoughts on empowerment.
Yeah, so that's actually all extremely interesting to me that you said that. So I also have a daughter, she's 13. Same exact thing, right? When she comes home and she says, Mom, so and so, this happened. Yeah, I'm like, honey, it could be jealousy, right? She could have something in her life right now that isn't exactly what your life is. And this creates some animosity for you guys for sure. With my own daughter, I really try to teach her about the empowerment piece of it. I want her to be her own person. I don't want her to be jealous of the other girls because they got a new whatever or at home they had something that she wants. I want her to be her. I want her to understand her own self because I think so many women, it also comes down to that. You don't understand your own self. You don't know who you are, right? And so you're seeing all these other women out there. Well, I want to be her. Well, I want to be her too. Like she's tall and I'm short. I want to be tall. Or she has blonde hair and I have dark hair. Well, I want to be blonde. You're just never happy, right? And I think it comes from an inner beast, like an inner monster almost. Like, why can't we just all be different but be happy about that?
Well, we're not raised to be different, right?
Right?
Especially in our childhood,
Yes.
especially even in our families and even in our childhood, we're not raised to be different. We're raised to see how well we can
Yeah.
be like everybody else. So
Yeah.
knowing where you're at now in your life and that you have a 13-year-old daughter that you're influencing with every move that you make, what if it was your 13-year-old self that you're talking to?
Mm.
What would you do differently?
Man, what wouldn't I do differently? Um I think 13 was still pretty good, but when I was 14, I unfortunately started dating a boy who was a little bit older than me. I really try hard to keep my daughter away from that. But my home life was not great, right? And so I found comfort in something else. This boy, quote boy, he was actually probably more of a man than a boy at the time. He had was what I thought was such a perfect family, right? His mom and dad were still married and they had all the things that I didn't have. My parents were divorced. We moved around a lot, a little just very chaotic, and he did not have any of that. So I became more attracted to his family than to him because at 14 I didn't even really know what that meant to be attracted to
Mhm.
someone. um, so if I could go back and tell myself something different, it would be that it's okay, everything's going to turn out fine, you don't need to be a part of his family to be a part of something, right? I probably would have pushed myself harder to do certain things that I didn't end up doing. um, Unfortunately, it was kind of not a great situation. Again, going back to, I don't want my daughter to go into this situation, because he was older than me. I ended up, I graduated high school. He became very, very controlling. So I started dating him when I was 14. He was 22. Big red flags already for
Mhm.
sure. So I would have done that very differently. I would have never done that had I known what I know now. And so he, didn't want me going to college. He gave me all these reasons why I shouldn't go. And I was like, oh, you're probably right, because I'm all of 17 and didn't know any better. And so, moving forward a little bit, I did the best I could do. I did open a business. I was, what I thought was extremely successful, but unfortunately, I threw myself into this business instead of my marriage. And so we ended up divorced. And I went back to school, and the divorce set me back. It set me back a few
Mhm.
years mentally, right? I know you understand that. I see the look on your
I
face.
do.
You
I've done it
understand.
twice. I've done it twice. And that's
Yeah.
not something I would recommend to my worst
No,
enemy at all.
no,
It's
no.
hard.
It is hard. It's devastating. It takes so much out of you as a human being to go through that. And so yeah, if I could go back, I would do things very differently. I would have waited to date. I would have went to college when I was supposed to, and not as an adult. um, but again, that comes back to knowing who you are, right? That self-esteem and self-empowerment piece.
Exactly. And I was just going to
Mhm,
bring us back to the empowerment piece and the
mhm,
encouragement piece and the
mhm.
inspirational piece, because you had made a key point when you said, I wish I didn't have to go through that. And
Mhm.
I said the same thing. I would hate to have anybody go through that.
Yeah.
But what if we change the narrative, grow through that? We
Yeah.
grew, you and I grew through that experience. We became the
Yeah.
better version of ourselves.
Yeah.
So this is what empowerment is all
Mhm.
about. This is
Yeah.
what, because you can't control your narrative as you're going through it. The story changes when you make it through the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually a really great point. So you don't go through it, you grow through it. And that is such a powerful thought, right? Like, so something I heard earlier today was if you need to have a breakdown, cry, do what you have to do, throw your tantrum. You've got 30 minutes, right? You give yourself 30 minutes and then you get yourself up, you put on your big girl panties and you go figure out how to fix it. What else are we supposed to do? Right?
It's like, yeah.
As independent women, no one's going to fix it for you. You have to figure it out. And so I think that that's also a really great point. Like, fine, have your breakdown.
Well,
Everyone
and
needs to.
that's a really good point, because we were talking behind camera how exhausted and tired I was today. And,
Yeah.
we're sitting here talking about what happened when we were 14, or in my case, I was 24 when I was 23 when I was first married. And three babies later, before I was
Yeah.
28, I
Yeah.
was um, three babies and divorced. Like,
Yeah.
ouch, right?
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
expect this. This wasn't the
No.
Prince Charming that was proposed in all of my storybooks. That
Yeah.
was read to
Mm,
me every single night before bed.
mm, mm.
We
Girl.
were
Mm.
we were not read superhero books. I'm just saying, we were read happily ever afters, and society
Yeah.
wonders why we want it so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very interesting what you just said about the happily ever after books, right? I have actually never let my daughter have one or read one of those books to her because don't I don't believe in fairy tales. I don't believe that's what happens. I don't believe you can kiss your frog and he turns into your Prince Charming. A frog will turn into a toad, but he will not turn into a Prince Charming. I don't believe that you'll fall asleep and somebody will kiss you and wake you up. I don't believe any of that. And so maybe she's read it on her own, but I've never purchased one for her.
And that is really interesting, right? Because that talks about the generational gap. What's
Mhm.
different? With only girls, I am only reading girl books to my girls. I wouldn't think
Yeah.
about reading a superhero comic that I'm not
Yeah.
interested in.
Right.
So those fairy tale stories, and of course they've evolved. Of course they're more like brave, and they're more like independent women. But
Yeah.
back in the 70s,
Yeah.
that wasn't the case. So we were,
Mhm.
and it's very, very powerful to hear that the last thing that you do before you go to bed stays with you,
Mm,
right? So these
that's a thought.
thoughts are sitting in our mind over and over again, that one day we're going to have our prince,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So empowerment comes in so many different shapes and sizes. And
Yes, it
so does
does.
encouragement and so does inspiration. And for those listening, I hope that we've said something. I know we're nowhere near done, but I hope that we've said something already that makes you be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
because really, that's what we're here to do today is we're here to just help you see life from a completely different perspective, that it doesn't really matter what's going on. You're going to ebb and flow through life,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
want people in your corner that are going to encourage you, that are going to inspire you, and that are going to empower you. So tell me a little bit about your people.
My people. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Your people that lift you up when you're down. What does that look like? Or your people that
Okay.
prevent you from falling down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, that is an interesting thought. So I have unique family dynamics, right? Like I said, my parents were divorced. Years went by, weird things happened, but I do have a sister who is my full sister. We're very, very, very many years apart, but she's my person. Like I'm a lot older than her. But if I need something, she's always there. And if she needs something, I'm always there. um it's she's definitely my person, which is interesting. We didn't go through the same things
Yep.
as our childhoods, um but you always know she has your back, right? Like that's my person. Yeah.
So would you say that everybody needs their person?
Everybody needs a person. Everybody needs a person.
And
Yeah,
out
whether
outside of,
that's
let's say, like go there, let's go there. Outside of coaches, outside of
yeah,
family,
yeah,
who else could be somebody's person?
yeah. So I think that if you are married, I think your spouse should probably be your person. Um, I think you guys should have a strong bond that you can go to one another about anything. They should probably be your first person, truthfully. Uh, but outside of that, having a really good girlfriend, just somebody you meet with, you laugh, you cry, you tell stories, you do the things, and you leave their presence feeling refreshed, right?
For
Like,
me, I would say that's the key, is feeling
yeah,
refreshed. So
feeling
it's,
refreshed.
and the biggest takeaway here is it's not necessarily family. It's not,
Yeah,
because you might not have it,
yeah.
and the generational gaps, they have their own limiting
Mm-hmm.
beliefs, their own stories that
Mm-hmm.
you're breaking away now from those patterns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of us are breaking away from those generational curses and from those patterns that our
Yes.
parents have had and our grandparents have had.
Yes.
So your
Yes.
parents might not be your frontline support, or your
Mm-hmm.
family might not be your frontline
Mm-hmm.
support because they just might not get it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
Your spouse, hopefully there's a lot you can speak with them about, right? I'm lucky. My partner, he's in business for himself, and so we are black and white with many things,
Mm-hmm.
but we both understand how hard it is for the
Yeah.
other person and how not
Yeah.
to give up. And
Yeah.
he's not my cheerleader because he doesn't know how to cheerlead.
Right? He's just not good at that part of it.
That's not him, but I have girlfriends. But
Yeah.
yes, there
Yeah.
are tools, there are resources, and even reading books and
Yeah.
listening to podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
the right people can elevate you. And
Yes.
you want that feeling like that you said, Nicole. You want to feel good
Mm-hmm.
at the end
Yeah.
of the day. There is nothing wrong with you. And this is one of my favorite affirmations. And it's more of a declaration. And it's I've showed this before, but I have a little affirmation
That's so
jar.
cute. Yeah. Yeah,
And
I
this
love
one says,
that.
there is nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
Um, and
Right.
every time I say that, my back goes a little straighter and my chest goes
Mhm.
out a little bit. And I'm a little bit more rooted, almost like I'm in my superpower pose, because there is nothing wrong with me. And we need people to tell us
Yeah.
that sometimes. And that's what empowerment is all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to go back to something that we said when we
Yeah.
first sat down together.
Yeah.
Knowing who you are, right?
Mhm.
You can talk to anybody you want, but if you don't know who you are to begin with, what good is that going to do you? It
Yeah.
won't matter because you don't even know who you are. You don't, from day to day, you're saying one thing and then you're saying another thing. So it doesn't really matter at all. Um, so I think a big piece of that is, yeah, you want to find a person. But I really think even if like you said, maybe you don't have the family dynamics to make that work. But if you can just find a person who encourages you, right? It can be somebody, it can be a coach or a
Mhm.
mentor. It can be anything like that. Just somebody you can call up and say, hey, I'm just having this moment. Talk me off the ledge.
Mhm.
Talk me off that ledge. And they do. They encourage you to be the you that you need to be for yourself.
Yeah, and that's huge right now because we are all growing through something right now. We globally, we were, it's
Yes.
interesting. I say this, and as soon as I said that, I almost burped slash hiccup, which is weird because we're on
Yeah.
YouTube and I'm
Yeah.
touching my throat chakra for the audience that's listening on audio. And so my throat chakra got activated right when I said that.
Yeah.
And we are all growing through something right now.
Mhm.
And most often people are.
Yeah.
And globally, we just went through a pandemic.
Mhm.
Some people had no impact whatsoever,
Yeah.
but the
Yep.
majority of us did.
Mhm.
And it's very easy to feel uninspired,
Yeah.
discouraged,
Yeah.
and lost when it comes to empowerment because we're trying to find that footing
Yeah.
and that stability and security again. So, what tips do you have for people along those lines?
So I think a lot of it comes down to your own personality, right? Like, I think that there's different personalities. You've got your driver personalities. You have so many different personalities. And I happen to be a driver personality. And so for me, I, I don't let things get me down and get in my way. Um, I'll use what you said, the pandemic, right? It affected so
Mm.
many people, unfortunately, in a negative way. But then I look at the people who it impacted maybe not at all. And some of them had thriving businesses during the pandemic. That's when
Yeah,
they made their businesses these amazing things that they blew up to be. I mean, that's incredible to me. Those people are drivers, right? I look at people
absolutely.
who've like, oh, well, I'm home, so I'm going to make the best of it. So I started a home business. I started working out. I started eating better because I had all this time on my hands. And then you have other people who are like, oh, poor me. And they sat around and slept all day. Well, those are different personalities, right? And so I think, again, going back to knowing who you are, but I also think that people need to dig deep and find something worth going after. What inspires you? What makes you, what I like to say is have a fire in your belly.
Yes.
I know what yours is. We've talked about it, right? Like
Yep.
doing these things for the world, doing interviews, doing podcasts, doing seminars, that gives me my fire in my belly
Yeah.
to talk to other women and encourage them to be amazing. Like I have some women, they're older than you and I, and they get a little bit confused. They're like, "Oh, well, my husband doesn't really want me to do that." And I'm like, "Well, what?" Like, back up a little. Because I'm just not a firm believer in that. And I know that there's lots of people that are, and I am not against that if that is what you believe. But I just have a serious problem with that. And maybe that's not right on my part. That could be some of why I'm divorced. But I just honestly feel like women should do what they want to do what makes them happy. If you're not hurting anybody, those are the things you should do, right? Whatever gives you that fire in your belly, find it. Find who you are.
And you're hitting on something that I wanted to share, and this is where the generational gap comes into play, and the difference in terms of education. So I shared with my dad about the um International Women's Day, and
Mm,
then I shared with him that in a couple weeks at the end of March, so again this is going to be behind when this podcast is live. So at the end of March, I'm going away to a women's retreat. And
fabulous.
yeah, it's great. I normally teach at them or facilitate, and I would normally do one or two workshops or one or two fitness classes, and then I would get to stay for free. Um, awesome. But this one, I'm completely going as a participant. So I'm excited. I mean, I'm outdoors and nature, and this is the direction where I'm taking my business anyways, eventually. It's to do retreats, and I know how I want to host them. But my dad, who's 76, he said he doesn't understand why I need to spend so much time away from my husband.
Mm,
And
mm.
and when he looked at me like, huh? Like we kind of let my dad talk about it, but when he came out, she's like, she's always home. And he's like, I don't understand why she doesn't need to be with you all, but like why you guys are doing anything separate. And I think that's very interesting because that's the codependency.
Yeah.
And codependency has very, very, very little to do with encouragement, inspiration, and empowerment.
Yeah.
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 We see that in marriages. We see that in second marriages where people, women, more so, some men are afraid of using their voice.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, they don't necessarily know who they are because they were
Yeah.
originally their husband's wife, their
Yeah.
father's daughter. And the
Yeah.
very first time I got married, my maid of honor at the time said to me, and I forget how it came up, but it was about my first name, Sonia. And I almost say everything just Sonia. I don't normally say Sonia Janice. That's my second husband's name. And Tony and I are actually not married, but we call each other husband and wife. And I remember Shannon at the time said to me, she goes, "You are started off as your father's daughter, and now your husband's wife.
Mhm.
You are Sonia.
Yeah.
Who are you?" And this is a good homework piece. I'm gonna bring something up here. I don't know if I showed you this before, but I did this book called Your Story Matters. It is a women's self-love, self-awareness book. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is there is a section in here where it breaks down your name. And I'm gonna pull this up and chat about it for a second. I know you're trying to hide from the sun a little.
I am
You
moving. I am so sorry. I'm going to move all of my stuff around.
okay?
It's like
You move your
coming
stuff.
at me with a
So
vengeance.
this is called, and for anybody that has, so I'm going to show you the book again. It's called Your Story Matters. It's going to be connected in the links in the show
Perfect.
notes, and this is available on Amazon. I did create a course for this, and I know there's a lot of people that have bought the book but didn't know what to do with the book. I mean, you can read it front to back, but I did create a course. You can contact me directly on that. But on page 125, it says alphabet self-love soup. And
Nice.
here's the challenge. Here's the challenge. Sometimes it can be fun to play a game where you come up with words that start with certain letters of the alphabet. In the following exercise, find positive words that begin with the letters of your name. These words should reflect what makes you unique, worthy of love, and if you like, use a thesaurus or Google positive words that start with each letter. So I'm
I
going to
like
share,
that.
it's a
Yeah.
simple exercise. I'm going to share mine.
Yeah.
So Sonia, and this totally, the way I broke it down totally represents me. Social. Okay, well, you tell me if I'm wrong. You tell me if
Okay.
I'm wrong.
Okay. Okay.
Social,
Mm-hmm.
optimistic,
Mm-hmm.
nature lover,
Mm-hmm.
youthful,
Mm-hmm.
and adaptable.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just from what I do know about you, those are all very accurate things.
Right? So
Yeah.
it's a cute little exercise to help yourself realize the value that you bring to the table based on the name that you were given.
Yeah.
And a lot of us don't take time to think twice about our name. Maybe it's a family name, maybe it was for a purpose. Sonia means it's a derivative of Sophia, which means wisdom in Russian.
Interesting. I did not know that.
And I do a lot more work on this when it comes to my vision board workshop. But it goes back to owning exactly what you said, like the
Yeah.
empowerment, the inspiration, and the encouragement piece. When you own who you are,
Yeah.
it's a totally different story.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because I have asked my clients, who are you?
Mhm.
Do you know how many of them can't actually answer that question? Well, I'm a mom. I'm an employee. I'm a wife. I'm like, but that's not really who you are, right? Like, those are the things that you do, but that's not who you are. So I love the exercise in that book, actually, with the name.
You
That's
like that?
incredible. That is incredible. I love that.
It's super simple. And I have another little tip. I'm gonna just bring this up. I'm gonna see if I can bring this up while we're chatting. I'll see if I can send it to myself and then I can read it to you. All right. You're gonna laugh at this. So
Oh no.
no, it's good. It's really good. Okay. So if you had so outside of job interviews, the only other time we really have to describe and define who we are is
Mm,
when we're on the dating scene.
mm,
Okay. I
yeah.
know this because Tony ended up being, I made it quite clear I had to kiss a lot of toads to find my frog, to find my prince,
To find your prince. Yeah.
to find my prince. But
Yeah.
if you had to describe yourself in a nutshell, including all of the pieces,
Yeah.
I'm going to share my tips with you. And this does include, so when you're an online entrepreneur, you're asked to describe yourself or your business, and
Mhm.
sometimes it catches you off guard and you don't know what to do. So I'm going to share this, and this might give
Okay.
you some pointers, and then I would love to hear what you would do about yours.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to read it. So glasses go on. Okay. So I'm Sonia. Consider me a dream catcher, AKA wellness coach, helping you reclaim time, energy, and passion while chasing
Mm,
your dreams. I'm a retreat guru, adventurous soul, cool coffee cup collector, swimmer who adores country music. I'm so passionate about what I do that it doesn't feel like work. I practice balance and I work on filling my own cup daily. If I'm not with my clients, you'll find me swimming, reading, hanging out with Tony, laughing with the dogs, or dancing. I guess that's why I refer to myself as an athletic geek. Welcome to my social circle, and I look forward to getting to know you better through social media and sprinkling some positivity and inspiration throughout your wellness journey.
yeah.
Your
Yeah,
turn.
that's incredible. I love that. So it's funny because what you said, you know, it has thrown me off guard. I just recently started doing podcasts like in the last month. And I've had people say to me, well, who are you? And I I actually posted on my social media because I thought it was so funny. I'm from a small town. And so I posted on my social media, I'm just a small town girl living in a lonely world.
Yeah.
It was so hilarious. And for anybody
Isn't
that
it?
knows music, knows what
Yeah.
that is.
Journey. Yeah.
And so yeah, and I just thought, oh my God, I'm a small town girl living in the world. And so I tell people that all the time, and some think it's funny and some think I'm retarded, and that's totally fine, right? Um, but I think for me, I think if I had to describe to you who I actually am, I would say I am an encourager to women, right, to live their best lives.
Hmm.
I want all women to feel empowered, and I don't care what that means to you, right? So we can go on so many different levels. I have clients who come to me because, Nicole, I need to lose 20 pounds. Okay, great. But I still want them to feel empowered, even if they're feeling a little overweight that day, right? And that weight does not tell you who you are, right? It doesn't tell you who you are. Um, so I guess I have a hard time narrowing down like, who are you? If somebody were to ask me that, I do have a very difficult time with that. Like you said, it's something that throws you off a little bit.
Yeah.
My main goal is just to encourage young and old women. We do not have to be a certain age. Again, I have a teenage daughter. I want
Mhm.
her and all her friends to be encouraged, but I want you and I to be encouraged, and I want women my mom's age to be encouraged, right? Like, I just feel like that's so important to me.
Okay, so Nicole, you have two pieces of homework.
Well, yay.
Yay! And anybody
Uh,
listening to this, I'm going to do the same for you. First thing you need to do is write down my email address, Sonya at freshapproachfitness.ca. Send me your homework. First things
mhm.
first, take your name, your first name, the name that you were born with,
Yes.
and break it down, the things
Yes.
that describe you.
Hmm.
Second of all, write yourself a little paragraph, like I did, that has nothing to do with your relationship status, your children. I want you to just write about you. Ha.
Mm-hmm.
And a
Mm-hmm.
little bit only about your job, like,
Yeah.
or how you
Yeah.
influence people. Okay.
Yeah.
And sit with this, because you might have to find out through journaling or through music or through some of the things you have around your house. Clearly, I like books, right? It would be easy for
Mm-hmm.
people to say, I am a book lover. Without knowing how many books I read, you can just look at my background and be like, okay, she likes books, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things people don't know that I wear color all the time, and I don't wear black and I don't wear gray, right? So I dress my energy type. I only wear colors that fall into my little energy type. Some people say that's putting me in a box. I am saying it helps me shine brightly.
Mm.
Because these are the colors that work best for me. So I want you guys to think differently about this exercise. We're in a world where we are always growing and we're always looking to define who we are. And people will show up in our lives to pull us to that next stage. But you're not going to know who you're attracted to until you know who you are now. And don't worry about the things you don't like. Just summarize what it is that you like best about you.
Yeah.
I remember when I
Yeah.
put this together, I sucked at balance. I'm much
Mm.
better at balance now, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an off season. I'm not swimming as much as I used to. Because I'm getting us to become a suck as I get older. And the pool that I was swimming in closed down. And in my small town
Oh,
of
yeah.
40,000, like my small town, there's one pool. Well, I
Yeah.
don't want to share a lane with 20 other people when I'm
Right.
swimming, right? Which means our pool isn't heated. So, but I still love swimming. I love how I feel when I'm swimming. So that doesn't change who I am. I've swam most of my life, even pregnancies and childhood, and I like that feeling. Um, so think about the things that bring you joy to describe who you are. There's your homework piece.
I love
Okay,
that.
thank you, thank you. And there is another book I'm
Thank
reading
you.
upstairs. I think it's called Joyful Living or Joyful. Oh, I wish I could go get it. I won't, but I'll add it to the show
Mm.
notes.
Okay, perfect.
I think it's Joyful, and she talks about this one, about the things that bring you joy, to have more of that in your life.
Yeah.
So, a lot of this is falling into the mindset piece, helping people become the best version of themselves is the biggest
Yeah.
takeaway that we've talked about so
Yeah.
far. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if your influence is coming through quote unquote competition or the beauty that you see in others, but you hesitate to say, and the fact that you're trying to identify who you are, or the fact that you're growing through things and you're sitting here under this dark cloud for 9 months or for 9 weeks or 9 days or
Yeah.
9 hours, you're
Yeah.
going to get through this. That I promise you. But what would your one biggest takeaway be to have people take action on the mindset piece?
I think a big piece is what you just said. Whatever it is that you're going through, you are going to get through it, right? And so I think people just having that positive outlook about what's actually on the other side. Why is this happening? Or why did that happen? Or why, whatever's happening or did happen, why did it happen? I am a firm believer everything happens for a reason. And when you get to the other side, and there's times you may never know, right? You may never know why. Why did my first divorce even happen?
Yep.
Who knows? But it made you better. It made you stronger. It made you who you are today. So we may not know the actual underlying why, but does it really matter? You are who you are now because of that. And I think with that thought in mind, you either become greater, you become up here, you become who you want to be, and you don't get stuck down here. You don't get stuck in this bracket of, well, I don't know who I am anymore because of I'm not married anymore. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, I just feel like if a man, right, a husband or a boyfriend or whatever, is holding you back from something, anyways,
Yeah.
and that could even be a girlfriend. It does not have to be a love interest. It could be just a friend. If you have a friend, and I'm saying this to like, my daughter's age people, if you have a friend and she's holding you back, again, like we talked about, probably from jealousy,
Mm-hmm.
something is there and she's picking at you because she's jealous about something, and that holds you back from who you really are going to be. Cut them loose.
And
Cut
it's so
that
hard.
person loose.
And
Is
it
hard,
doesn't,
isn't it?
it is very
Especially
hard.
young.
You know what
Yeah.
though? Especially young, but the same thing holds true to people in their 40s or 50s, because
Yeah.
a lot of people find it hard to make new friends as we age.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and I do agree with that. I think it's, the older we get, the harder it is for whatever reason. Do
I
we
don't
go
find it
out as
hard personally.
much? Yeah, me
Yeah,
either. So I'm just trying to like go on that. But I also believe that, again, if that person is holding you back, imagine how great you could be if you found the right friend,
yeah,
the right person who builds you up. You can build them up and they build you up. How much further are you going to go in your life?
yeah,
You
yeah.
don't know. The possibilities are endless,
Oh, they are.
right?
And it, we hear this, we hear that it's hard to make friends as you age.
Yeah.
I don't, but you and I are both like, well, no, that's not really the truth. And but I think that depends on how open you are.
And I think with age, for me personally, I grew into who I am. When I was young, you know what it was? I was probably awkward and odd, and I was like, I can't reach that. So it's actually probably easier for me now. Plus, on the flip side of that, I can see from afar who I actually want to be friends with. Versus when you're young, you're just friends with everybody because you feel like you're supposed to have a friend.
Right?
And
Yeah.
now as an
Yeah.
adult, you're like, well, you don't really serve my purpose, right? Like I don't agree with the things that you do. I don't really want to be friends with you.
But you're not going to know whether or not they serve a purpose until you know who you are.
It comes back to that.
It
Who
comes,
you are.
but it
Think
comes
back to
back to
that.
that exercise. It comes back to
Look
this
at that
book.
circle. I
Yes.
love that. Look what you just did. I love that so much. If you don't know who you are, so let's think about that. If you don't know who you are, how do you pick a friend? How do you pick a spouse? How do you pick a home? How do you pick a job? How do you pick anything? How did you pick the shirt you're wearing? If you didn't know that color energizes you, you would have never picked it,
No,
right? So unless you know who you are, you can't really do anything for yourself.
no, and you have to go through this life knowing that it's trial and error so you can
Yes,
identify those things and
yes,
explore.
yes,
And that comes fundamentally with an open mindset. I mean, yes, you
yes,
could sign up for my Essential You course and learn about your energy type and learn about
yeah.
your colors and your personality and why you do the things you do and get greater clarity. But if you have a closed mindset, that's not even going to be of interest to you.
Something that I love to say is take the ceiling off of your brain. If you just took that off there, where could you go? If you have that thought process of, well, this is where I was meant to live, this is where I was meant to work, this is all I know, this is what I was meant to do.
Mm.
Take that ceiling off there.
And it's amazing. I mean, I'm just going to touch on this for a second because I know there's three other points I want to
Yeah.
get into for just a second. But I was meeting with my girlfriend on Saturday. Oh my, it was awesome. I went over to her house and literally took off my shoes, had a couple drinks, sat
Yeah.
there on the couch, did a reading off a deck, and we ping ponged so badly in our conversation that a fly on the wall would have no idea what we were talking about. But the whole concept was obviously to catch up, but we talked about human design.
Yeah.
And my human design, I am a generator. So I'm a type 1 energy, which is what I was talking
Mhm.
about earlier. I am also a generator, but based on my chart, I have undefined head, which is your I guess it's both your crown and your third eye. For me, that's undefined. So it's literally my whole head. My throat is undefined, which means I am highly influenced by other people.
Mm.
My heart is undefined.
Mm.
Okay. So that means these are open for influence. Okay. But
Okay.
you make your way down to my sacral, my spleen, and my root chakras. Those are My solar plexus, I think, is undefined as well, but I'm not sure. I'm just visually trying to patch them all out. But my
Sure.
spleen, my sacral, and I believe my solar plexus, but definitely solar plexus, sacral, spleen, and root are all defined, which
Mm,
means where I was going with this is I am not supposed to make choices based on my head or my heart. I need to literally make choices based on my gut. So
that is
everybody's,
interesting.
yes, everybody's human design is different. You can fall into one
Mhm.
of the 4 or 5 categories, but your actual physical chart, which is based on when you're born, is completely different. And I'm going to get Michelle on this show because she's awesome about it. But
Yeah.
knowing where you fall on that, it's like, okay, my brain and most people's brains are not supposed to be meant and used for thinking and for making
Mm.
decisions.
Hmm.
So use your heart or other parts of your body. It's because I
That's
wasn't talking to you
interesting.
theory. Isn't
She
that
just wants to
interesting?
butt in.
Isn't that interesting though?
It
Right?
is interesting, actually. Yeah.
When I have a gut feeling, I need to go with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If something brings me joy, I need to go with it.
Yeah. So different would things be for people if they listen to their gut?
Huge, but we're not taught how to.
Yeah.
Huge. It could be a game changer. It could
Yeah.
be the night before your wedding, like, this doesn't feel right.
Something's not right.
And you know
Something is
why.
not right.
And
Yeah.
ladies listening to this and gentlemen listening to this, but I'm going to say predominantly ladies because I haven't known
Mm-hmm.
any men that have experienced what I'm about to say. But maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
true. Ladies, have you ever gone to a clothing store and you've bought something, you liked it, maybe you even loved it, you take it home, you try it on again, and it's like, oh, something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Go with that. Go with that
Mm-hmm.
one right there, the one at
Mm-hmm.
home. Now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to tap into the fact that it's probably not your color, your style, your fabric, it's not flowing. Um, but that's not the point. That right there, something's not right. That's
Yeah.
the whole point that I wanted to
That's the
bring up.
feeling.
That's the
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I
And there's
agree. And there's so many, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of mindset we just talked about there in all of these different
Yes.
angles. So share with us when I say, so by now that I chat about 4 pillars because I believe growth happens securely and safely on 4 pillars: meals, movement, mindset, and your relationship with money.
Yes.
So we just had a great conversation about mindset in one way, shape, form, or another.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about movement. How does movement fit into your 4 pillars?
Oh, goodness. So movement is so important. Um, I'm trying to think of a good example because if you're not physically active during the day, you wouldn't really understand what I'm about to say. So you're physically active, I'm physically active. And I know on a day when I'm a little more lazy, when I've sat on the couch a little bit longer than I ever do, I don't want to do anything. I can't even fathom putting the dishes away, let alone going and running that day or having a good workout, right? But if I get up, I do my workout, and I just go about my day in a physical manner, I have so much more energy. I am more energized than when I don't. So I think there's fine lines, right? I work out, you work out, and I know that there's times where our body is like, you're done for the day.
Yeah,
You're done.
100%. Yeah.
100% done. So I do lots and lots of different workouts, but typically it consists of weightlifting sessions, a couple days a week is cardio after the weight sessions. It just depends. But after 6 weeks of doing that, you need, right? Your body needs the break. Now, we're going to flip on the other side of that. And if you don't do anything and you don't do anything and you don't do anything, and after 6 weeks, you decide, I'm going to go running for 6 miles. Wow, your body doesn't love that, does it? Your
No,
body's
no.
screaming for you. And so I think the idea of movement not only is a physical, but it's also a mental state. I think that that encompasses all of the emotional, physical, mental wellness that people have. I feel like that's a really big element to people. Like a lot of my clients, they don't even know where to start, right? Like, yeah, so they're a little bit overweight. I'm like, okay, well, what do you do? Well, I haven't worked out in 5 years. Fine. Go do something for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is better than nothing,
And,
right?
and that it, so I want to reiterate what you're saying. It doesn't really matter what you do. It's
Nope.
that you do.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't matter as long as it's a movement, a physical movement.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. Take a walk. Take the dog out. I know you have a dog and she was waiting for you to take her for a walk. Take your dog for a walk. Clean the house and dance while you clean the
Yes.
house. I know you love dancing. So while you're doing that, turn up the music and just dance it out, right? That's still a physical movement. I have some people that just love gardening. And I'm like, great, get out there and garden. That's not
Yeah.
my
Like,
choice of a workout, but that's what they love. It's just a movement. It doesn't have to be, I went to the gym for an hour. It
yeah,
doesn't
and
have to be
I
like that.
no, and that's so key. And another point that you had mentioned that is so key is start where you're at.
Yeah. Start where you're
Don't
at.
start where you're at physically. Like I did 2 weeks ago, I did a 5.5K run on a Thursday night, and I am recovering from my ankles for being 4 years in physio. That wasn't a good place to
Yeah.
start.
Right. Right.
It took me 4 days to be able
Yeah.
to walk normally again.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
created my own training schedule,
Correct.
right? Because I couldn't start there.
Yep.
Yes, it was great that I could do it. And it's fine that you do intervals, and people don't
Mhm.
realize this when there's events and races and things like that. You can walk them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. You don't need to be first finisher.
No, it's
You still were out
accomplishment.
there.
All
Correct. You
right.
still did it. You crossed the finish line.
So movement is,
Yes.
and according to you, is anything that moves your body. And I completely agree. A body in motion stays in motion.
Body in motion stays in motion. How wonderful is that saying?
My office got moved downstairs when we brought another son home. And it means I am running up and down the stairs all the time to heat up my coffee 20 times or get more water or go to the bathroom or
Right.
whatever. And yeah, I could use the microwave that's in the other room beside me, but no, you know what? This is movement. This is glutes.
Right.
This is heart up and down. This is,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
like what you just said, that makes me think of something. So, when if you're not physically active and you go to the grocery store, walk a little further away, right? Don't park by the door. Walk in.
yeah,
Walk a little further. First of all, you're going to save your car on some dings. Second of all, you get a little extra movement in, right?
yeah,
So, when if you're someplace where you can take the elevator or you can take the stairs, take the stairs. You don't always need to take the elevator.
yeah,
I mean, there are options for people. Even again, if you're like you and I we work all day long. I have clients who sit right here at their desk 8 hours a day. I'm like, okay, you have to get up and you have to walk. I don't care if you walk around your house 10 times. Like some of my clients live in nicer climates than you and I live. They live in Florida or wherever. So I'm like, girl, get out and enjoy the nice weather. Like, we're jealous. We don't have that. So get out and enjoy it while you can. So I try to encourage my clients to also get up and do some type of movement, even though they're sitting at their desk,
right,
even every couple hours. Just
yeah,
10 minutes, get away from the computer. Like,
yeah.
step away.
Anything, anything, guys. You can
Anything.
do chair,
Hmm.
like do something and move your body. And like
Yeah.
you, well, I like to move my body first thing, and I'm sure that's what set me off this morning from being incredibly tired.
Yeah.
I wasn't able because we was -6. I want to say Canadian,
Correct.
-6 Celsius.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we had more snow, and I'm like, but I was supposed to run today, and I'm still trying to figure out when I'm fitting my run in, and if I have to be
Yeah.
tomorrow, whatever. But that's
Hmm.
not the point. When you get
Hmm.
used to it, it almost becomes an addiction
It's
because it
true.
feels
It
so
is.
good.
It is an addiction.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. All right. So meals, or sorry, let's talk about meals now.
Okay.
When you are making healthy choices,
Hmm.
what, like, do you have some non-negotiables in your day that are part of your meals?
Protein is a non-negotiable for me.
Okay.
Um, I have clients who are vegetarians, and I'm like, you still need the protein. I do not care how you get it. Your meals need protein. Um, for some reason, my women clients struggle with getting protein in their diets.
Interesting.
It is interesting, but I've noticed that women love carbs. We love pasta and we love bread and we love things, right? Opposed to that. But I really want, myself included, but anybody who's trying to eat healthily, they need some kind of protein in their diet. Do I believe in fruits and vegetables? Well, yeah, who doesn't believe in that? Do I feel like you have to get all the things they're saying? But I absolutely believe in the protein. And the reason I believe in that is because it keeps you full longer. So I have women, okay, they're trying to lose weight. Well, you're not going to lose weight when you're hungry every hour and you're eating a donut that you found in the break room, right? It's not going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and they're like, well, I didn't eat as much today. I only ate one meal. No wonder, right? Like that's not going to cut it. And so it's really amazing to me how people don't realize. I don't know how many of your clients have come to you and said, I'm only eating once a day. Why am I not losing weight? I really struggle with that.
Well, I struggle with that, and I struggle with the fact that they think starvation or
Yeah.
fasting, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna go there because it's gonna,
Yeah.
I'm
I
probably
know.
gonna lose followers, but I'm gonna
I
go there.
know.
Or how keto is the
I
magic,
know.
and it's like, guys,
No.
plants and protein at every meal,
Right. Right.
or macros, because if you're
Yeah.
not eating your macros,
Yeah.
your body's missing something.
Yeah.
Carbs, fat, and proteins
Right.
have a place. So
Yep.
protein at every protein is what your recommendation
Protein,
is.
protein, protein.
So
Protein, protein, protein.
this is one of my non-negotiables. This is actually for those that you've got water here. So it's water. It's not water. This is actually a protein shake with
Yeah, that's what mine was.
a scoop of vegetables. And normally I have it before, like for breakfast, normally around noon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's funny how you said, so behind the camera, I was complaining, sharing. When you're with in the right company, you're not complaining. I just
Right.
want you ladies to know that when you are in the right company, it is never a complaint. It is an open ear, it is an open
Yeah.
mind, and it is almost like a breath of fresh air. But if you're in the wrong company, they're going to come back saying that you've complained. So that's a good way of knowing if you're in alignment or not
It's
with your
true.
peeps, right?
It's true.
So we were sharing behind camera that I was extremely tired. You probably wouldn't know it now, but I can handle a bath and a nap from the minute I woke up this morning, and yet here I am.
Yeah.
And when you fuel your body with the right things, it thanks you. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying, like, yesterday Brooke brought home a dozen donuts, and last night I made banana bread.
Hmm.
And I also ate a bowl of pasta as my second lunch
Yeah.
today because I am
Yeah.
trying to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours
Yeah.
because it makes a difference.
Yeah.
But it's finding what works for you. And I love, I
Correct.
cannot agree more about the protein piece.
Yeah.
And for those that are catching this episode, which is 149, I would love to encourage you to go back and listen to episode 148 because I had and another amazing guest speaker. And she talked about your feminine cycle and
Hmm.
food
Hmm.
and how it
Yeah.
changes with the
Yeah.
moon.
Yeah.
And for me, some I'm not even going to go into it. I want you to circle back because I don't want to take any of Nicole's time away from this, but there is a huge correlation to this. And some
Yeah.
days you're going to have a stronger appetite than others. But yes, I would completely agree. If you can somehow incorporate protein, and there's so many different ways of doing it, and neither one of us are sitting here saying have protein shakes 3 times a day.
No, no, absolutely
No.
not. No. And what you just said, I love what you just said. You are trying to eat every 2 to 3 hours. That is incredible. Again, I have clients who do not understand that. I'm like, you have to eat. I would love for you to have a snack. I'm not saying have a full 6 course meal every 2 hours. That is not what I'm saying. But I kind of break it down like this for them. So you get up in the morning and you eat breakfast. Let's pretend we're all normal, which I don't think you and I are, but let's pretend we're normal when we get up at we eat breakfast at 8 a.m., right?
Okay.
So then you eat your normal breakfast at 8 a.m. Make sure it consists of carbs and protein. Pretty easy, right?
Yep.
Then at 10 o'clock, you're going to have a healthy snack. Hopefully, something that consists of some kind of protein. Doesn't have to be big, does it? Doesn't have to be big. Just something to keep in your body. And then at noon, you can eat lunch. And then at 2, have a snack, right? And so these are the things that I try to teach them. And the reason is, and I'm sure you know this, but your body goes into starvation mode, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm only eating once a day. I don't know why I'm not losing weight, because your body is holding on to every little calorie that you put in your body. It has no idea when it's going to eat again. And so it's like, I'll just hold all of that for 6 weeks.
And that's the same thing with keto. That's the same
Yes.
thing when elimination diet. And
Yeah.
an elimination diet, and we're going to reframe keto from my perspective moving forward to like a low calorie
Mhm,
diet,
mhm,
because you can still eat keto like,
mhm.
um, but and I've talked about this on a different show, but there is something wrong with the fact that if somebody tells you anything grown from the garden is not good for you,
Yeah,
there's a problem.
that's a problem.
That's a problem.
So
Potatoes are good for you. A pound of bacon and
potatoes
toast.
are like one of the best sources of everything for you.
They stick
And
to your
somehow
gut. Yeah.
potatoes got a bad rap.
Yeah.
That happened. Like, no, they're good for you. So I actually have this belief, and it is an actual diet, if you want to say those words, which I hate those words, but it is, if you can grow it or kill it, you can eat it.
Love that.
If you can grow it or kill it, you can eat it. Do
Yeah.
I fully live by that? No, because again, I had a protein shake just like you. That is made in a factory. That is made in a factory. If your normal stuff consists of something that you can grow
Yep.
or kill, does that mean I want you out there being man versus animal and shooting everything you see? No, that's not the point. Like, the point is, if you logically could do that, think about the caveman, right? That's what they used to
Yeah.
call it, is the
Yeah.
caveman diet, paleo.
I love
Um,
paleo. Yeah.
I love paleo. I love paleo. I try not to use words. I try not to put,
I
the
don't label it
actual
either. Yeah.
labels
Yeah.
on it, but I do love it.
Yeah.
I think it's an incredible thing, and I think if more people used it, they'd find that they felt better during the day.
And I think that's why I like macros so much, because it's
Yeah,
easy to blend with
yeah,
that. All
yeah.
right, one more topic
Yes,
before we
yes,
let our audience go, because
yes.
all we see is this beautiful rays of sun covering your face.
I am so sorry. I don't really even know how to move in this room right now to like eliminate that. Like, I
Okay,
am so grateful for the sun, so I don't want
you're
to complain,
you're good
but
there. You're good there. Okay, stay closer to the camera.
okay,
We'll
I'm just close.
okay.
Let's put my face
So
right in you.
share with me how your relationship with money has changed over the years.
Oh, money is a very interesting topic. So, growing up, um, was money talked about in your household?
Only lack.
Yeah.
Like
So,
never enough, ever,
yeah,
never enough. And my
yeah,
parents constantly fought, even to this day, at
about money.
76, they
Yeah,
constantly fight over money.
yeah. Money is such an interesting, almost evil, right?
Mhm.
Like, there's some stigma around it that you're not supposed to talk about money and you're not supposed to know. Do I believe in knowing what your coworkers make? I don't really care, to be honest with you. I don't care. Um, but I think in your own household, I'll go back to me having my daughter. I try really, really hard to teach my daughter the value of a dollar. Does she have too many things? Does she have more things than she needs? Yes. Does she earn them? Yes. Right.
Right?
So I have this belief, like, me growing up, I would say we were poor. We were probably extremely poor. My parents got divorced, just like yours. They fought about money a lot. My dad opened a business that caused a lot of chaos in our house. He had money that he wasn't used to having, so he was spending money that he wasn't used to having, buying lots and lots of new things, and essentially they got divorced. Like, it was just too much for them.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think money is at the root of all evil. I don't believe that, right? I know that that's what they say. I believe that I want enough money. I want enough money to be able to live. I want enough money to be able to give my daughter the things that she deserves in life. Do I want to be a multi-billionaire? No, that's too much stress. That's too much stress for me. I wouldn't know how to keep track of my checkbook.
True. Speaking of keeping track of
But
your checkbook, how often do you tap into taking a look at your finances?
so um, geez, I'm okay about that. Like, like we all have our apps on our phones now, and since having that, I'm a lot better. Um, interestingly enough, I'm probably better than I used to be. And the reason is because I had one of my credit cards hacked
Mm.
and I kept coming up, like I'd log in and they're like, you have a charge from gardening club for $130. I was like, I did not garden. Wow. So, so ever since having those things happen, I really try to keep track of it. I'm probably not as great as some,
Hmm.
um, but I'm better than I used to be. Do I keep track of every last penny? Nope, I don't. I don't do that. As a matter of fact, what I do like to do, when I used to balance a checkbook, which we don't even do that any longer, right? But when I did
Yeah.
used to do that, I would actually always, if I wrote a check for, say, $749, I would just be like, oh, it was 800. And
Got
then at
it.
the end of the year, I had like what's the extra money. It was actually really cool. I'm like, oh, I have $1,000 in there that I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of how I utilize my money. Like I know what's in there, I keep track of it, but
Well,
I try not to think it's evil.
well, and I agree with you. So much changed where money's not evil. And there's a few things that you'd mentioned. You've got your dad who's a businessman himself. So with that comes trials and tribulations and risk. Where with my family, my folks are still together, but my dad's dad, so my grandpa,
Mhm.
was a bit of an entrepreneur. So my dad saw the negative ripple effect of that. Right. So now we're talking generational curses that I'm trying to, like I said, trying to break. And so for my dad, all he sees is there's too much risk for me to be in business for myself.
Oh,
Not the opportunity, but the risk.
yeah.
And the fact that there's more stability and safety working for somebody else. And you
Mm,
try to explain to the generation where they literally had one or two jobs their whole life,
yeah.
right? And they
Yeah.
retired and they had a pension. And it's like, Dad, there is no safety and security. They can let you go tomorrow for no reason.
Absolutely. You could be the best employee ever and
Yeah. And
they
they
don't
just,
need you.
right. So whatever
They
their
don't.
story is, and that's not yours to own. And what I'm hearing you say is this is a journey for you that you're still practicing. Like you're better than you were.
Yeah.
You're still very open-minded to making some course corrections on. But I also know, and we don't need to go into detail here, but I do also know that you completely believe in having multiple eggs in your basket.
100%. 100% of that.
and
Yes,
and
absolutely.
that's the stage where I'm at too right now. And whether it's the time of year, whether it's time of life, but I am looking at recession proofing my life. And
Yes.
that means 5 to 7 different sources of income
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
the time.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
don't start there. Again, you start with one or two,
Correct.
right? And then you
Correct.
work your way to 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But the whole premise to that is if one drops, you're
Yeah.
still okay.
You're still okay. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's actually a really interesting thing. When I decided to be, you know, an entrepreneur, when I decided to venture off and do this, what I like to call as an adventure, right? This is an adventure every single day for us.
Yeah. Of
Um, Out of all the people, surprisingly, my dad was so supportive of me.
course he was.
Um,
Yep.
he was so supportive and it was incredible. He was like, well, you got to spend money to make money. And I thought, it's a great statement. And if you just think about that with our businesses, if we don't spend money someplace and do our time, we can never make the money someplace else.
Yep.
And so I thought that was a really interesting statement.
Yeah. Well, right before we sign off here, I'm going to let everybody know in the show notes, I am going to include a link to what's your relationship with money. It's a quick way to do a little bit of an assessment. I think it's 12 questions. I will get back to you with where you fall in terms of your money avatar. I will include a link with your archetype, and you can learn a little bit more about what kind of spender or saver you are, because this is something that should be part of your day-to-day, almost like a
Yeah.
non-negotiable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will include that link in the show
I
notes.
love that.
Nicole, is there anything else you wanted to say to the audience before we chime off today?
I think I've said a lot during the day, but I do want to say thank you for having me on your incredible show. I really appreciate that.
Well, this was so much fun. I really, 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 really enjoyed having you as a guest today. And it's fun. I mean, at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
it
it's
is
fun.
fun.
And that's all it needs to be, is fun.
Yep.
So
Yep.
saying that, everything that you heard today, guys, is going to be wrapped up in the show notes. I'm not going to break down the conversation. You're going to want to have to listen in, but I will include how you can reach Nicole, anything specifically that we spoke about, such as her encourage, inspire, and empower. And thank you so much for being here with us today.